Welcome to episode 3, season 3 of the You Better Than Me podcast. I am here with my girl Fallon, and she is fresh from DC, y'all. Fallon came to check me out in my show. I did a 90s show, which was like a review of music and dances from the 90s. I told Fallon she didn't have to come because we weren't going to be able to hang out, but she insisted on coming to support your girl, and I'm very excited that she did so. It meant a lot to me for her and her husband to fly down and support me, so thank you so much.
You're welcome. I honestly don't think that I could have let you do anything that monumental without us just showing love and showing support. Like, we still are beyond grateful for all the love you showed and our wedding video and just singing and just being present. So there was no way that the Vaughns were not going to be in the building for you singing your face off, and it was so good. For everybody that missed the show, like, I think they said y'all were going to do it again in October, right? Or
Right.
Well, I don't know if you're going to do it again in October, but that was literally the most fun at like an event we had in such a long time. Like, just the energy, just singing, just seeing all the hard work and dedication that all of y'all put into it. Girl, it's no way that we wouldn't go hop on old Spirit and coach.
I know that's right. I appreciate that. It's so funny because I tell people that like most of the cast are like 30 plus. So like these are like grown people, working parents, people that have a life outside of doing this. Like, we don't just do shows and sing and dance for a living. Because some people ask me, they're like, do you guys do this for a living? Not me, girl. The bills got to get paid. Like, no.
That's what I'm saying, though. Like, just seeing so many people from different ranges of life. Like, how did y'all even just find, one, the energy to do it, two, be able to prioritize your everyday life just to really dedicate time to a craft that don't have nothing to do with your every single bills getting paid, and just find I guess the happiness and joy within in yourself to give so much to people, because you was going to practice every day. Got Pyro got us on they bad list. Like,
you sure are, y'all.
It's hard.
So I think the thing is you have to have a love for it to want to do it, you know what I mean? And then the commitment part, that's a big thing, because for me, I have commitment issues, which I've said on this show before, with everything. I have commitment issues with everything, even just my own personal stuff. I think I get really excited about doing something, and then when it's time to do it, I'd be like, "Ooh, I don't want to do it." Even with, again, recording this podcast, I'd be like, "Ooh, I don't want to do it. I want to go lay down." And I think you just have to push through, and I think that's what a lot of people, you love it, you love, the craft of, having a gift from God, whether they're singing or dancing or entertaining in general, and you just try to prioritize and make the best out of it. It was definitely prioritizing.
You did that, and like I said, it ain't even time for you better than me, but you better than me for putting that dedication. And I don't even know why you keep on saying that you have commitment issues, because you committed literally to everything that I have ever seen you say you were going to do. You said you want to travel. You took trips. You said you want to do a play. Like, we are on season 3, so are you selling yourself by saying that you have commitment issues?
I could be. Maybe I need to give it another name. Maybe it's not commitment issues. Maybe it can't be follow through, because I do follow through. So we'll have to figure out another name.
I literally don't know anything that you have quit on. Like, what have you quit on?
You know what? In my adult life, really nothing. Now, in my college life, I have quit on some things. But in my adult life, I do try to see it through. So yeah, maybe I need to redirect and change my narrative.
We're going to let you reclaim and rename the narrative, because I don't need you out here scaring off any potential boos.
Okay.
You have commitment issues, because you don't. And I don't want any listeners or potential listeners who could be pursuing or doing the do to get to know you in the future, or now to hear that. And relationships are already hard enough as it is. You don't want nothing out there that's going to hunt you or follow you or cause no raised eyebrows in the future. So we're going to change that narrative.
I think you make a really good point, and that's good. So just to segue a little bit, because I think you and I spoke while you were here about different seasons. If you guys are avid listeners, like you should be, but if you're not, please go back and listen to seasons 1 and 2. At the end of season 2, Fallon had me read off my list of what I wanted in a potential partner. And it was like all this stuff. It was all this stuff, y'all. And the reason why I'm bringing it up is because now I'm in like another season, not another season of my life per se, but spring season or whatever. And I've been dating, and some of the things that were kind of like on my list, I'm like, well, maybe I could like bend a little bit. Like, okay, maybe you don't have to live down the street and around the corner for me. Maybe I could bend. Maybe I want to spend my winters over here in Arizona because you live in Arizona, and then come back to DC, once the weather changed. So your girl has been bending a little bit on her list. I was like, no, no, no to bald men. I met me a little bald man or whatever.
You gotta get on the ball train. If
Get on the bald train.
I told you light skin and bald headed is where it's at, but
Oh Lord,
just make
I
sure
can
they
I can
work.
only do one or the other. It's either light skin or bald. I'm gonna have to go with bald because I can't light skin. I just need that chocolate. It's something about a chocolate man.
I see. Don't miss your blessing because it ain't got no melanin or nothing. Whatever. I'm with the girlies that say don't your package may not look like what you thought it was gonna look like. It need to be what's the inside of it when you open it. That's the gift that you let keep on giving. But even with that, I feel like just traveling with Bay, like these are things you need to add on your list too. Like if you hadn't, I know this is you got your passport, you're traveling, you're doing all these things. Like you got to take that into consideration too
I
when you are
know.
like building your package. Like even before we left to come out to DC, my mom was like, "Well, don't be dragging him around no everywhere or around a whole bunch of people." It's like, girl, what are you talking about? Like, what
That's
you
so
mean?
old school.
Right. That's
That's
so
so
old
old
school.
school.
That is so old school. But I'm like, okay, well, if I like, who gonna snatch him or who gonna take him? Like, what you mean, girl?
Right. That brings me back to the show. He's mine.
There was one of the
That
songs
was
on,
one of the songs.
and even that song, I remember singing my little heart out in like fifth or sixth grade. I feel like that is when that
It
was.
wasn't that long ago, but I was singing my heart out too. But you're right. I know on my list, I can't remember if I mentioned a vacation on my list, but definitely on my vision board for this year, I do have something that represents a vacation. So I'm hoping that a vacation will be in the future. I don't know if I'm manifesting it, but if it happens, I think I'll be excited.
I think you would, and I feel like didn't we have a conversation about vacationing while I was in DC? Like me and my husband traveled there. Like that's our first, I guess, trip to see a friend in another city. Like it was very unorthodox, but it's something that we wanted to do together as a couple to come celebrate you because we love you, we love your friendship, we love how you love us and all
Oh,
those great things. So that was in the plan. Like we wanted to come and hold it down for you. But even then, you have to like be very specific or talk about these things with your partner,
mm-hmm.
like trips, like traveling, or do they want to travel? Do they need to know every person you're gonna come in contact with? Do they want to be etched
Yeah.
the agenda? Do they want to dive deep or do they want to start fresh? Like it's so many things that you got to think about. Just the relationship is hard. It's not as easy as one would think. Like I know we put up a best picture or best representation of everything that's going on, but it's so
Right.
much in that. Like it's so much more than it appears, and even just stuff that's taking a trip could be like some make or break type stuff. Like you don't want to. Like it's so many things you got to be equally yoked in, and I don't know if that's like
Yeah.
upbringing or just life influences, nature versus nurture, but it's so many different things to think about when it comes time to like meshing. And you out here talking about commitment issues like that.
Yeah.
That is the biggest commitment of all, and it's so many things that you have to look into and look inwards in yourself and look outwards. Like just the people that they have hung around or the people that have inspired them or the role models that they've had. Like all of that stuff can genuinely make a difference in how not only we are molded ourselves, but also how they
hmm
view things. And I know you always talk about role models, like you've mentioned it on the show again. If the people have been rocking with us, you've heard Kristin mentioned the importance of role models, and even with like just conversations that you and I have had, you asked me a
Mm-hmm.
question about do we have relationship role models or things of like that. Just can you talk a little bit about what you I guess why you have role model so high on your list of things and how that even transpired in the conversation that we had.
So I'm gonna put out a disclaimer because as important as I think it is, I don't have one professionally, which that's something that I'm supposed to be doing for my current position. I digress. But I just think like within relationships, this could be coming from a point of watching a lot of reality television because I do watch things like Love and Marriage Huntsville. But a lot of times when I see the older couples on there and they were friends with some of the younger couples, I don't know if that relationship was navigated through church or whatever. I just see the importance because, like being a parent, there is no handbook to parenting. You figure things out as you go, but then you may look at some of the things that your parents did and you may want to take those things and do them or not do them. So I feel like the same way with relationships. Like you look at somebody that's had a pretty decent, successful marriage or relationship and you see, hey, can you help me out or tell me some things that you've experienced that I may experience? I know times have changed. Like back in the day, our folks didn't have social media. So you can't say, I saw a picture of somebody or who is this person or why you took this like this. You can't use those examples because they didn't have that, but they did have some things that could be very similar to what we're going through right now. And I think that like sometimes in church, like I think my church has it like a marriage ministry,
Mm-hmm.
where, you get married and one of the things that people may not realize, you're essentially responsible for someone else's feelings. You know what I mean? Like that becomes your responsibility. Your babe is like upset about work. You
Yeah.
carry that as well. He's upset about whatever, money. He's upset because he has a parent that's sick. You carry that as well. So that's something that you really have to like think about. Like when you think about a seesaw, there's going to be times when you literally got to hold it down for the other
Yeah.
person and you really have to be on the same page. And I think for me, that's a big deal. Like, y'all know I'm not married, I'm not in a relationship, but every time I speak to men that I may be interested in or whatever, I always say, like, I think marriage is like the ultimate thing for me. Like, it's something that I would not take lightly. I'm not saying I haven't done some things that I'm not proud of, but it's something that I would not take lightly if it were my marriage.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm saying I'm going to commit myself in front of God and my family to this person, that's something that I would hold myself just at a different level for myself of performing and being as good of a wife as I can be. So when I think about having people, you have people that you could possibly want to emulate, like some of the
Yeah.
ways that they navigated the relationship. And it may not be as easy now as it was back then because things are like so fickle, like even with me always saying, oh, I'm single. That's a fickle part of me that I can really say it's fickle because I don't have to be responsible for anyone's feelings. Like I can easily say, oh, well, you did this. Well, you ain't my man. Girl, that's not my man. You know what I'm saying? But when
Yeah.
you're in a marriage, those are things that you cannot do. And you may want to call upon someone else like, hey, hey, Auntie Dorothy, y'all been married. This is what, can you just help me navigate it? Or not even that, can you just listen to me? Because sometimes you just want to be you want to be heard. Like people
Yeah.
may not even want any advice. You and I have spoken. I'm not married. I'm not married, excuse me. I'm not able to give you advice from a marriage standpoint, but friend, if you want to vent, I'm here to listen.
Yeah.
I'm here to tell you I can put you on my grandma prayer list if you want me to. I'm here to,
You're
give
right.
you a virtual hug or anything like that.
I need to be at the top of Miss Yes because my thing is I struggle with I don't necessarily like to vent because then that gives people a slanted view of your partner. So
Mm-hmm.
I try my best to protect what I have, what I hold
Right.
to my heart. So I try not to do that because I don't want to ever just complain, or be the friend that's complaining, or be the person that's only talking about what's good, or like I have people who will literally run your ear crazy about how my man, how great
Ooh,
everything is and all
child.
they're doing. It's like, okay, is that an accurate depiction of how your situation really is, or is that
Right.
what you're trying to convince yourself of? But then on the same accord, it's like if I'm always talking about the problems, like I don't want to be the person who brings up just only issues to people. So I try not to do that. But it's hard to find like mentors or I guess role models with this
Yeah.
talking about marriage because one, everybody's marriage is different. You
Mm-hmm.
can't necessarily trust people to give you the truth all the time because they're trying to protect, you know, their image or protect what
Yeah.
they have together. But it's hard, and I try to do give myself as much grace as I can.
Right.
Like I would want to call my mama or up or something or anybody, my best friend, and just cry on the phone for hours about different things. But it's like once you get through them, then you feel stupid. Like I don't want to bring something up and then you like, well, girl, y'all was just going through this, and y'all was just going through that. Like I want a healthy balance, and I don't know how to create that without talking not out the side of my neck, but like telling too much or not telling enough and not knowing what to tell. So a role model is like weird for me because like it would have to be somebody who I'm not friends with because obviously your
Right.
friend is gonna ride for you regardless. It would have to be somebody, I guess that's trans
Non-biased.
non-biased or
Mm-hmm.
far enough removed that they can't put their personal views on there. So that's a hard one. That's something that I wish I had. Genuinely, therapy is one thing, couples therapy, but just like marriage role models or like something. And I feel like I asked him before, like, are there any things you would want to emulate from your parents' marriage or like from what they do or something like that? I read something somewhere, like a questionnaire of different questions to ask your partner. And for me, it was like, well, I feel like emulating. I love how my daddy always made my mama feel like she was a princess or she didn't have to do
Yes.
much of anything. But then on that same accord, it's like, damn, when the crown came off when my daddy got sick and she was having to,
Do
you know,
everything.
do everything, like it seemed
Mm-hmm.
like that was the worst thing ever. So for me, I don't ever want to be so spoiled or sheltered that when stuff does get tougher, something God forbid happened to him, that I'm left just out here
Picking
with
up the pieces.
kids' eyes or like seeing
Mm-hmm.
everything for the first time, like stuff like that. Or I love how my mama was comfortable enough to kind of just chill. She wasn't like somebody who had to be the front and center or the spokesperson. Like I've been in a relationship before where somebody literally told me, well, I'm the funny one, you're the pretty one. And I was like, like what? Like
Right.
this is weird. Like this is how we're defining gender roles. Like that's not really kosher, and I'm glad that God removed me from that person. But
Right.
it's still like these are things you got to talk about, and like a role model would help.
I think it would help, but I do understand that you would have to find a couple because it's going to be two people. Whether you just
Yeah,
talking to the wife, you gonna end up talking to the husband directly or indirectly that you can trust. So I know that that could be difficult, but aside from that, I still think that being in a new marriage or a new relationship is very fragile. You know what I mean? You're still learning each other. You're still learning how to navigate living with one another. You're still learning how to navigate things that come up. So I think in that regard, counseling would probably be the better option until you find someone. And that's for, anyone. Because
yeah,
I mean, when you tell people stuff, because you got to be careful of that. Like, before you got married, what did I say? I'm your friend. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Anytime you tell me that you don't like somebody, it's a wrap because you my friend. And I'm just keeping it
exactly.
100. So I get it where you can't tell everybody everything because I'm going to have your best interests at heart. Now that I know your husband, then I can be like, okay, well, you kind of wrong. You know what I'm saying? But deep down
Yeah,
on the inside, you my friend. So you also don't want people, and this is something that can happen in any type of relationship, not just a husband wife. You don't want people bringing stuff back up that you done told them
yeah,
in confidence. You don't want people to have an attitude with your person because at the end of the day, that's your person, and that's why knowing your friendships and knowing the people that you can trust. You just really have to know this is a person that I can vent to, that'll listen to me, that'll put it out of her head and just allow me to just get my frustrations out and move on.
yeah,
Or this is a person where I call you and you just cheer me up just a little bit. I'm not going to tell you what's going on, but just know I just need a little cheering up. I can't tell you too much because you might bring it back up and that's not what we want. So
yeah,
it's just important to know who you can confide in and what you can confide about. But we've been chatting a little bit, and I know the bills got to get paid, so we need to go ahead and take a little commercial break, pay the church's bills.
Share the money.
Are you ready to take your streaming broadcast, website, or social media visuals up a notch? Pyro Media Productions is here with the perfect solution. From dynamics, design, and professional headshot shoots to family photo ops, they've got all you need for stunning content creation. Check out pyromediaproductions.com today and add that creative flair. Pyro Media Productions, setting brands ablaze since 2017.
All right, guys, thank you for that brief interlude. So, Fallon, you touched on a point. You said you asked your husband about things that he would take from his parents' relationship, and I'm assuming that the conversation was vice versa. Do you think that it's important for your person, because this ain't all about marriage, y'all, because I'm single, for your person to have a let's just say a male role model. Here we go with role models again in his household, as it pertains to being in a relationship. Because I met someone recently, and even before meeting this person, my cousin, he will always say that he can tell when a woman did not have a male role model, or the father wasn't present in her life. He can tell how the woman treats him. And he's like, before she even tells me that her daddy wasn't around, or that she ain't had no uncle or no granddaddy, he was like, I already know by certain things that happen, or certain conversations. And even myself, just, dating, like, people have said to me, like, just your conversation, how you talk, things that you say, let me know that if you didn't grow up with your dad in the house, like, somebody was around you. I grew up in the household with my granddaddy. So when you speak about that softness that your dad showed your mom, that's what I've experienced too. Like, one of the first things that I tell people, like, you cannot talk to me hard. I don't do that. You can't elevating the voice and all that. To me, I know that it's not this, but to me, I feel like it's a segue into domestic stuff, and I don't like that, because that's one thing that you can't do as well. So I'm like, the elevated voice, talk to me nice, baby. I'm a woman. You need to talk to me nice. And I feel like in that relationship and having that male presence and that woman presence in the house, you can really see the dynamic of where the husband holds his woman as, this my flower. When I come home, I'm taking the weight off the world at the door. You know what I mean? And my boo is right there, and I'm smiling because that's mine. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, got to get this for your mama. Oh, your mama gonna, that's the thing that I'm used to seeing. And when you have a man that may not have had that male role model and doesn't know that, it could show up in ways of, like, you grab your boo's hand and they say something like, I don't even be holding hands with nobody. It's like, my guy, we're 40. You're not gonna hold my hand.
So that, for me, that is very much so important and very obvious with interactions with people. Now, when I made my list some time ago, I haven't had many relationships, but the people that I was in relationships with before, single mother, that opens up a whole can of worms on how you navigate with people, how you treat people, just different social cues. Like, do you walk on the right side? Like, are you allowing me to speak? Or are you only used to women being super hard because they're the man and the woman of the household? There's very evident. I said, let me not get with anybody who has daddy issues. So then another relationship situation, this person had both parents, but their parents were not necessarily happy. They had a relationship where the mother was, again, running everything. Daddy wasn't necessarily around. So I'm like, all right, well, let me not have anybody with mommy issues, because someone who cares more about what they got going on is going to treat you a different way. If they're used to seeing their mama berating the daddy, then they're expecting some type of challenge with you, or like picking in sore spots or doing things of like that. Like, what you see in the house growing up, it really does play a part in it. So if you aren't seeing those type of interactions, I really genuinely believe that it leaks into your adult life.
I agree.
It really does. And even if your parents didn't have the perfect marriage, I feel like just seeing the elements of what worked and what didn't should be carrying you on into what you got going on right now. Like, I genuinely believe that.
Yeah, and I mean, I know we had this conversation briefly when you were here. Like, a part of my seasons changing is not really trying to write a person off because of that. Because at the end of the day, and I don't think it's like falling in love with potential. I think that if you're doing the work and you can say, these are my issues, because here's the thing, none of us can choose the hand that we're dealt. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, I don't think any mother just wakes up and be like, oh, well, let me not say that, because you have a right to do what you want to do with your body. But I think that if you could have a community of people around you, whether that includes the father of your child or your husband or whomever, I think that you would much rather have a community than to just have to walk down this road and do
Yes.
everything on your own. So I don't want to make it seem like, you know, the hands that you were dealt, like you chose that for yourself, because that's not true. So I'm trying to myself just have a little bit grace in those areas too, because I've seen a lot of things and I've been exposed to some things too, which may not have been on an everyday occurrence, but somebody could still be like, oh, well, you saw this happen, so do you think this is going to happen? I'm like, well, no,
Yeah.
because I also saw this happen. And I also know that you can learn from negative situations and turn those into positive situations by saying that's not something that I want going forward, which are some of
Yeah.
the things that I've done. So I'm trying to have grace in that area.
Yeah. Well, even going even further with that, do you feel like the company that your partner keeps, should they potentially be role models? Like if
Ooh,
you if
that's
are your
difficult.
homeboys, an argument that we always have is your homeboys shouldn't let you play yourself or shouldn't let you been fucking up. If they were really your homeboys, they would have said something, they would have stopped you, they would have redirected you, they would have said, yo, this isn't cool. Are your friends of the opposite sex supposed to move the same way your partner is moving? Like he'll say, if I had homegirls that was hoes, you wouldn't want me around them. But then in my mind, I'm like, well, they hoeing with you, or do your
Right.
hoe have they hold with you? Have they tried to? Like, is what they're doing, what they cat, what they doing today, got anything to do with me? Or if my homeboys are fucking whoever they want to, but they ain't never fucked me or fucking me, does it matter? Like, can I still claim them as my homeboy? Should I still be holding people as the standard? Like, I'm holding these people that I'm cool with to the same standard as my partner. Now,
Right.
I've heard different views of it. Like, I talked to my boss about stuff because he's been married about 10 years. I don't even know how long he's been married.
I
And
thought you was about to say about 10 times.
no, girl, no, no. So his perspective is like, he always is like, well, if you are married, your goal is to protect your queen. So that's going from every chess piece down the board. Every player has to work in tandem. Like if your wife is hanging out with people who are out in the streets, hoeing, fucking, sucking, slobbing, doing all these things, it's not necessarily a good place for your wife to be because that leaves your wife susceptible to stuff that could potentially happen. Or if your homeboys are out hoeing and going and fucking and slanging kids everywhere and doing all this stuff, and you rolling with them, it's like the perception that you're getting is their image tarnishing who
Hmm.
you are, and then they're looking at she hanging with these niggas who doing all that stuff. So can you come home to your man and be mad if he's doing something others doing? Like, how important are those people as role models? Should your friends be role models for how your actions occur or how you're moving the same way that you should have role models in like relationships or work? Should you have friendship role models?
So I think, that is very, very touchy. Um, once upon a time, and I probably discussed it here, all of my friends, like late 20s, early 30s, were getting married. And I felt like um, I didn't have a place in the friendship anymore because now I'm the single girl that's still trying to find her person or have someone find me or whatever. And now these people are
Mm-hmm.
married. So I felt away. But then as I started to get older and mature, I'm like, well, maybe they do need to be friends with their married friends a little bit more because like I'm doing some different things and they're doing some different things. But I think the biggest thing is personal accountability, right? So you have to be accountable for the things that um, you say you're going to do and the things that you say you're going to do and the experiences that you want to have, right? And we all have different reasons why we're friends with people, if you get what I'm saying. So I got some friends that's hoes, but they smart ass hoes. You know what I'm saying? So like if it comes to
Yeah.
investing or doing something of that nature, like why would I stop being friends with my hoe friends when they smart? You know what I'm saying? And they're not asking me to be a hoe with them. I see it on both sides, and I think that's something that would be really, really difficult for me if I were to get married. You know, someone saying that they don't appreciate the friends that I have, and me even saying it too. And I think I said it in the episode before, the person that I think I could have had a good marriage with, um, it's not that I didn't like his friends. I had, I probably dated some of them, you know what I'm saying? Because we went to some different schools or whatever. Or maybe one of them had a crush on me or whatever. I'm not going to get into the story. But I know that for us to have a successful relationship, they couldn't be at our house. You get what I'm saying? I couldn't be
Yeah.
friends with his friends. Like, I can't be washing the dishes. This is how my
Yeah.
cousin says it. I feel like if you was washing the dishes, like one of the friends, I feel like he would come up behind you and try to brush up against you. And I think that could really happen. So for me, that wouldn't be good. You get what I'm saying? But that also goes into personal
Yeah.
accountability for that particular friend. You know, like you might be the hoe of the bunch, but you know you can't be the hoe of the bunch with your man's girl. You get what I'm saying? So it goes both ways,
Ooh.
and I don't have a definite answer for that because,
Do
you
you?
know,
Do you?
I, huh?
Does the hoe of the bunch know she the hoe of the bunch?
Um,
Do she?
I mean, I feel like it's 2023. You got to own your wholeness. So why would you not know?
Mm.
And then
True.
again, it's not even wholeness. I don't even want to say that. So I want to change the narrative on that as well. I feel like in 2023, women are allowed to be sexually liberated. So if you're protecting yourself and you want to have sex with a different man every day of the week, that's between you. That's your personal business. So you do what you do with that.
Yeah.
But
But
I just
through
think that
your
the
pussy,
whole
it's overrunning and overlapping into your homegirls.
well, that's another story. I just think that that's a touchy one. I would hate if my partner told me that I couldn't be friends with someone that I had a genuine friendship with. There was nothing else there, and I had to make that decision, and I had to make it based off the fact that now that we're together, there's this oneness, you know. And I don't
Yeah.
know. That's a hard one for me.
I can say that it's hard in real life too. That just changing your mentality to group think or not group think from single think to one think
Right.
is fuck. And I wish there was a manual on it. I wish there was an easier method of it because for me, I never, in my wildest of dreams, thought that like the company I kept or my friends or anything like that would have any whatso anything to do with the relationship, like not at all. So hearing stuff and different people telling me how now, yeah, it does. Like your partner doesn't want you around these people that are doing certain things that can lead you to a bad situation, or this doesn't look right. Like perception and images, like those are things that come up. Those are topics that come up, and it
Mm-hmm.
does make it very difficult to navigate a terrain when there is conflict on that page. Like theoretically, no, you can't be friends with someone who your partner isn't comfortable with you being friends with. And technically we're supposed to grow and evolve and do all of these things, but you have to, I think, find a safe spot where, or at least I would prefer a safe spot where your person lets you come into that understanding on your own accord. I don't think it's fair to just be wielding out demands or anything like that, because I think that can kind of teeter totter on the lines of being controlling or trying to control somebody. But I do think that's something that you have to genuinely have a conversation about. Like you
Yeah.
have to talk about friendship styles, or you have to talk about how you handle conflict in any type of relationship. How do you manifest pain, or how do you even work through friendship dilemmas? Like, how much about your friends do you tell your partner? How much do you keep to yourself? Because I mean, some stuff ain't their business, some stuff
Right.
isn't your business. Like, I don't have to know every detail of who your friend may or may not have laid down with. Some stuff genuinely ain't the other person's business, but you
Right.
do have to kind of know when it does become your business or y'all's business. And I think that's something that I would definitely take to my therapist and get some case studies done on how to navigate that. That would be something that I would want the relationship or marriage role models to be forthcoming about. And I don't even know if ladies in the past 20 years ago, I don't like our mamas and grannies really just had friends like that. I don't even think women were allowed to just be as liberated as were with like having big cliques of friends or having unisex
But
friends,
the thing
friends.
is, everybody was in the same like position. You know what I'm saying? Like your mama was married, her friends was probably married. Like people started having their kids together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like you got married together. So like it's so different because I know so many like older people were like two sisters married two brothers. You get what I'm
yeah,
saying? So
I
like
like that too. My family.
everybody got the same friends.
Yeah, true.
So I just think things are just so different now. And you're right, like we're able to go more places, travel, meet more people. Like you didn't travel everywhere. So I'm sure you didn't picked up friendships or, acquaintances along the way that may be valuable or have been valuable to, you becoming who you are, the woman that you are. And it's like, okay, you just let all that go, even though there was nothing sexually tied to it. You just let it go for the
I
sake
mean,
of your partner having an issue.
that's one of the ones I wish I had the answer to.
Yeah.
I don't have the answer to that one, but I genuinely wish I do because that's something that I deal with in my own personal business. Like I'm not the most friendly person in the world. I'm not the most social person in the world. It may appear that way, but like you said, I have traveled, I have lived, I've been in different states and different schools and different situations. So I have collected more people than say someone who hasn't lived a similar life than I have. Like, how do you even know how to filter through that? Like, that's something you gotta have
Mm-hmm.
a conversation with a friend about. Like, hey, these are my friends. This is how this friendship came to be. This is what this friendship is. Like, it sounds stupid as all get out, like having to really have to talk about all these things. But I think having a conversation before something occurs saves yourself a lot of trouble and heartache and
I
frustration and
agree.
complication. It really does.
I feel
Is
like you teaching me so much though, because like even though I said to you before we started recording, like I'm not ready for marriage. Like even at this big age, like I don't know where that would be in terms of down the line, but it's definitely not this month nor this year.
and I'm gonna
But
be
I feel like
honest, I don't know if you. I don't even know if one is ready.
yeah, that's a good point. But I feel like what you're saying is so accurate. Like right now, as I'm dating people, I feel like my conversations have become a little bit more deeper. You know what I mean? And I know people can change and stuff can change, but like I'm trying to get to that whole like I don't know. I think that surface level stuff is just not for me. Like I just need the
Yeah.
depth part of it. Like, okay, what would be your expectation if this happened? And again, you don't really know until you're in that situation, but you can call it out and just say, we discussed it. Like you knew this is what I was gonna think about it. You know how when they say when people tell you, like, especially men, when they tell you something up front, like that's typically what it is when they like, I don't want no relationship. And you
Yeah.
still be trying to do all the things to make them want it. I'm like
Mm-hmm.
of the mindset when I tell you what it is that I can do and that I can't do, you need to listen and you need to listen well because I've already told you what I can and what I can't do. And that's like my issue with my friend. Y'all know my friend, Mr. Six. Mr. Six. I love me some Six, y'all. I ain't gonna get on here in front about my boy because he is a good person. But I've told you from day one I can't be your girl. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that didn't change from that was what it was in 2021 and it's what it is in 2023. Ain't nothing changed about it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I mean, you know what? I'm not even going to. I'm not even gonna get on Sace today. I'm gonna let Sace make it since we have just been having such a grown conversation. I ain't even gonna let my little childish come out with all the things I want to say about old Sace, old Six.
I
So
wish you could have met Six while you were here. He is such a nice guy. He's so nice.
I
He's
know,
such
but
a nice guy.
just nice for somebody else.
He is nice for someone else.
And we'll just leave it at that with the Six conversation. But nah, it's a lot. And I feel like even I grow and change and have to go through things, and I fight it hard. I don't like conflict. I'm an attorney. I
Mm-hmm.
only fight at work. I don't want no conflict at home. I don't want to have to be arguing. I don't want to have to be having difficult conversations. I don't want to be
Right.
second guessing what shit.
Right.
I don't want to have to do any of that. But sometimes you have to. It's like if you planning on spending 40 fucking years with a nigga, you gotta have some difficult conversations. You
You
gotta talk
do.
some shit even if you don't want to. Now, I don't think it's fair to have to keep talking about the same shit over and over again. But
Right.
I think you gotta talk about it till you fix it though. But you gotta do it in a healthy manner. You gotta do it in a way that's productive. You gotta do it in a way that's going to actually come up with some type of solution or some type of move forward. Otherwise, those conversations are not going to be productive. That's with anything. That's with your friends too. Like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you could beat a dead horse until it's just dead. And I don't ever want to get into the place where you know how you hear these old niggas, well, shit, that's why I was cheating, or that's why I did that. Well, you kept accusing me,
Right.
you kept talking about it. Like I don't want to ever get to that point, and I can see how people get there. Like
Yeah, because you don't want to open up the door and you don't want to shut down. That's what I'm saying. Like once you shut down, like that's the end of it. Because then you feel so defeated that you aren't going to be willing to do anything else to, make things work. And that's a really tough place to be in any type of relationship,
yeah,
friendships, whatever. It's a tough place. When somebody is shut down, it's like, I don't care what they say. Like, it's above me now. That's between you and Jesus.
yeah. When I get to the point where I don't even want to talk anymore, just don't say nothing.
Exactly.
I don't want to be in that position. Like I don't ever want to just have to shut myself down and on lock and key or censor myself or something like that. Like conversations are necessary, but people really gotta talk in a productive manner. Learn your partner's communication style.
Mm-hmm.
Be open. Like don't sit up and be pissed off about some shit all damn day and then bring it up later. If you know you have a problem, be able to communicate about it then, or be able to talk about it. Like everything shouldn't be an argument. Everything shouldn't lead to an argument. Everything should not be on some you versus me type shit. Like it should not.
I know I had this conversation with someone else, and I'm like, my ideal relationship is like being on the same team with somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you playing like we just gonna say kickball or whatever, right? Kickball, baseball. I don't know too many sports, y'all, so I can't go too much in depth. But kickball, like your teammate, like you trying to make sure that your teammate is going around every little base and making it back. You know what I'm saying? Like when you come home or when you go into practice, you trying to talk to your teammate about, hey, this is what happened, this is what we can do better. And I remember one of my friends, I would always call him my biggest fan because I knew he was going to be my biggest cheerleader. He was going to be my teammate. And I think about that when it comes to relationships. Like, I need you to be 10 toes down for me, and I need to be the same way because it's all about reciprocating. Like I think this year, I know earlier we probably spoke about our words or whatever, but I think I'm changing in my words. It's like reciprocal, even with you guys coming to visit me, I'm just like, I hope that I can reciprocate and show you guys that, I love y'all. I'm flying out to see y'all for whatever it is that you guys have going on, because that's just the mindset where I'm at right now. Like people that are in my life, I just don't want it to be any one-sided anything.
Yes. I want what I'm putting out.
Exactly.
I want the reciprocation. Is that even a word? Reciprocation? Reciprocal?
I think so. Yeah.
I don't know. I'll be making up words.
It's real.
I want to feel that what I'm giving you is free and safely given, openly given, willingly given, and I don't even have to bat an eye to second guess or double think if you're going to be doing the same in return. And I try to be that example of a person. I try to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. I try to extend and give grace and do all these other things. And it just pains me to think that I can give so much to people and they not be genuine in what they're returning to me. So I'm with you. I kind of embody that sameness also as a person, as a unit, as a married person, as a sovereign citizen of myself. Like, I don't want nothing coming to me that is not equally yoked in love as what I'm sending out. And I know that's probably a little bit off topic, but that's a real straight from the guts and heart proclamation. And I'll say you better than me if you dealing with situations or people or even jobs, hell, that ain't you what you putting out. Like, don't do it. Don't get caught up. Don't put your head out there for something that's gonna trap you off if they feel like you looked at them the wrong way or if they get 2 inches too far ahead of you. Like, don't do it. It's not worth it. The shit got to be reciprocal. You got to literally look within yourself, see what you're doing, see what you deserve. Make sure that they're equal and that they're balanced. Make sure that you and whoever are on the same page.
I agree. That was good. I think you better than me if you are not letting your needs be known, because we all require certain things, you know, and at the end of the day, you either gonna rise to the occasion or you're not. And if you can't rise to said occasion, especially when someone is mentioning it to you more than once, you just have to know when to go. You know what I mean? And I think that's just a lesson that I'm learning. That's not just in relationships, that's also in friendships. This is how I want to be treated. Talk to me nice. Do nice things for me. I need you to be generous with your time, with your efforts, things of that nature. And if you really can't do it, then I'm expecting too much from you and I need to move on.
Yeah. I damn near want you to press pause and rewind it back and say that. Because that's some real shit.
Yeah, I just told someone that. I said maybe my expectations of you is too high. And if that's it, I'm gonna put it on me. It's not you, it's me. My expectations are too high. You cannot reach said expectations. I'm a bag back.
Shit.
And it just is what it is.
I feel like we're gonna have to have a whole nother conversation about this, because this conversation has been very healing and very
I'm happy, friend.
I'm looking for very
therapeutic
for me.
Okay.
I don't know why I needed it, I guess, but just talking about some of these things and realizing, just saying them out loud, and knowing that I'm not sounding crazy and that it makes sense when I have a thought or feel like something is in a pee up under my mattress or whatever. That's bothering me. Like, I can say it, so I appreciate that. All about it from stemming from a conversation about DC.
Stemming from a conversation. How did we get here? I will say, we said this the last time, I believe, but you know, guys, take your moments throughout the day, in the morning, before you go to bed, and affirm yourself, because, you know, Fallon and I deal with a lot of stuff before we come on here to record, and we really have to take like deep breaths. We have to text each other first. We have to talk for about 30 minutes before we can record. And I just think it's so important to just affirm yourself once, you know, the thing is done, or before you're doing the thing, to let you know that you can get to and through the thing. So I think we all just need to take a step back and just affirm ourselves, because no matter what it feels like, we're exactly where we're supposed to be.
Ooh, girl. Tambourine, insert tambourine and
shake a tambourine.
Yeah. No, not that version.
Not that one. Oh, my bad.
Pentecostal version. the Heaven Soldier salute version.
Oh yeah. I wish I'm gonna buy me a tambourine from Amazon. Let me go on that.
Girl, you a mess.
I always wanted a tambourine, but I grew up Baptist. We didn't really have that many in my church.
But I thought in Georgia all churches was like Pentecostal churches.
No, I mean, I didn't grow up Pentecostal. Yeah, we go into another subject, but we're not going to do that, because we've been on here with you guys for a while, and we just want to thank you for listening to us, because this conversation went from one place to the next, but we really hope you enjoyed it.
We do, and we did, and we needed it. And we'll talk about the tambourine on the episode.
The next episode. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. See you next episode.
Bye.
Bye.
You Better Than Me is a podcast on Pyro Media Network, produced by Pyro Media Productions. Pyro Media Network and Pyro Media Productions are subsidiaries of Pyro Media Enterprises. For more information, please visit www.pyromedianetwork.com. Thank you for listening, and we will see you on the next.